Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are here to talk about your finance goals. So a few months ago, I did a series that was focused on helping you come up with action step ideas for a number of different goal categories. So for 4 weeks, we tackled 4 different goal categories: personal growth, fun and recreation, health and wellness, and home physical environment type goals. And I asked you when I shared that series if there were other goals that you also struggled with coming up with action step ideas for your goals. And there were 2 other major categories that I heard from you. So this week, we're gonna do 2 more of these videos where I am going to give you some action step ideas for that particular goal. And then I'm gonna share with you 5 questions to ask yourself to help you come up with some of your own personal action step ideas. I will give you a book recommendation for that goal, and then I will wrap it up with a general goal action idea tip that can be applied to a number of different goals. So if you go back and watch those first 4 and after these 2, at the end of it, you will have 6 total tips that you can apply to come up with action step ideas for whatever goal it is that you are working on. But today we are talking about finances. So let's kick it off with the kind of 5 action step idea categories that I personally have experienced when it comes to finances, and then I also have worked with someone one-on-one on this particular goal. So the first step is, how do you want to track it? Really, if you're going to get in control of your finances, you're going to have to track it in some way, shape, or form. Step 1 is going to be, how are you going to do that? Are you going to do it on a paper planner? I know a lot of people in the planner community use physical budget planners or monthly planners or even just notebooks, but they do like writing it down and doing it by hand. I am not those people. I have never been able to do it by hand. I just have always been a digital budget finance girl. So a couple of options for digital. Number 1 is just doing it on a spreadsheet. And that is what I did for years. That is how I got myself out of my own large amount of personal consumer debt. That is how I got a hold of my budget, was doing it in just an Excel spreadsheet. If you're not comfortable setting up an Excel spreadsheet for yourself, there are a lot of other tools that you can use online, some free, some paid, to help you with your budget. Once we combined our finances, once my husband and I combined our finances, I started using one of those online tools called YNAB. You Need a Budget, and I absolutely love it. It has absolutely changed that, like, the game for us. We couldn't do it in a spreadsheet anymore. But overall, step 1 is, how are you going to track it? I also want to caveat, it might take you a little bit of time to figure out how this is going to work for you, and that is okay. Leads us into step 2, which is actually tracking it, actually tracking your finances. Now, the tip I want to give here is, if it overwhelms you to go back in time and do all of the prior steps, don't do that. I know that that's a lot of advice that you will hear, is like, go back and track all of your prior spending to know where you're at, where you're spending your money. If you are comfortable doing that, if you have the time, you have the energy, do it. If that overwhelms you, or you're like, I don't want to go through all of that, start today. Just start tracking from right now. And it might take you a few months to get some data before you can realistically set a budget, but I would rather you start now and start working on this goal than feel overwhelmed by having to go back and track all of your prior spending. So we know how we're gonna track it. We started tracking it. Step 3 is gonna be to create some sort of regular routine for yourself. So how often are you checking in with your both tracking and then looking at your numbers as a whole? So for me, I like to do it daily. I like numbers, I like digging into the finances, and it's just easier to stay on top of it if I do it daily. Now, do I do it every single day? No, we're out of town, I miss days all the time, but when I do it every day that I can, it's easier to stay on top of it, and I don't have as much catch up to do later. I do think if you're just getting started, trying daily might be a good option for you, again, just to get a feel for it. And by the way, when I say daily, I do it Monday through Friday, and then on Monday I just play catch up from the weekend. Part of my morning routine, it just works for me. Maybe you're gonna try weekly, maybe it's bi-weekly, twice a month, figuring out what works for you, but creating a regular routine for your finances. Step 4 is going to be to set your overall financial goals. One of the biggest things for me when it came to working on my finances was knowing what I was either saving for or putting that extra money towards. Right, the ultimate goal, you've got money coming in, you've got money going out. First off is step 1, really step, like, it's not really a step, but the money going out needs to be less than the money coming in, right? Not spending above whatever money you're making. And if that is in conflict, then really figuring out how to lower your expenses or increase your income. Now, I also should have said this at the very beginning. I can't believe I'm this far into this video. Not an expert, not a financial planner. I have an associate of the Society of Actuaries, which is a somewhat of a financial credential, but I am not a certified financial planner. That is not my area of expertise. I am sharing everything in this video based on my own personal experiences with my finances and one-on-one clients that I've worked with on this goal. So back to our example, right? You've got money coming in, money coming out. Likely at the end of the month, or hopefully at the end of the month, you've got a set of leftover money. What is the plan for that money? What are your financial goals? Where is that money going? Are you saving for something specific? A house? Are you paying off debt? Are you saving for retirement? Are you saving for college funds? Where is that money going? And the last step here, and likely the most important step that in like realization mindset that for me when it came to finances, is that you're gonna adjust it. You're going to adjust it over time. Budgets feel like they should be this thing that is like you set it and forget it and it's like set in stone and you don't have any flexibility. That is not my experience. Your budget is going to fluctuate. Your categories are gonna change, your amounts are gonna change, and it's being open, being flexible to adjusting that over time. All right, moving into the next part of the video, which are 5 questions to ask yourself when you're thinking about your financial goals and setting your goals. Number 1 is, what is my relationship with money? Number 2, do I prefer the details or the big picture? I actually got this idea from Emily Lay, where she talked about how her and her husband tag team their finances. One of them is in the details, knows all the numbers, pays all the bills on a regular basis, controls the budget on a day-to-day basis. One of them is big picture. What are our financial goals? What are we working towards? What are we saving towards? Which one do you prefer to be? Obviously, if you're not in a relationship, you're gonna be both of those things for you right now. If you are in a relationship, maybe you still are gonna be both of those things. But if you have different strengths than your partner in that scenario, figuring out which one you prefer and separating those tasks from each other can be really helpful, and then checking back in with each other regularly. So in case it's not obvious, I am the detail and the pays the bills, in the money all the time. He is the big picture. That's also what he does for a living. And then we check in with each other quarterly, and where are we, touch base, how are things going? Question number 3 is, would I benefit from a professional? This can be a goal that it feels like working with a professional, whether that is a financial planner, financial advisor, just a bookkeeper, if you're watching this video with business finances in mind. It can feel counterproductive. Like, I have finance goals and I'm gonna pay somebody to help me. There might be a time where you need that. So don't hesitate to hire a professional. That's question number 3. Number 4, what is important to me when it comes to finances? I think one of the other big struggles that I've always had with finances and people talking about them is different things are important to different people. And we are not in a place to judge any other person how they spend their money. And so asking yourself what's important to me and being confident in sticking with whatever that is and letting go of other people's judgment on how you spend your money. And then question number 5 is, how can I make finances less stressful for me? I know that finances and financial goals can be a really stressful topic and goal, frankly. And so what can you do? What stresses you out about it, and how can you make that less stressful? Book recommendations. I actually have 2 book recommendations depending on whether you're here for business or personal finances. If you are here for business finances, I have said this in a million places, Profit First. Highly recommend. If you own a business, I recommend that you read this book. The other book I have to recommend actually is for anybody. Whether you're here for business or personal, I think every single person should read this book, and it's We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. And then the goal action idea tip that I have for today, really the idea came from this particular goal because I think it really does apply here, but you can apply this to literally any goal. And that tip is, always try to be learning more. Depending on what the goal is, there is a lot to learn out there. You can learn from professionals, you can learn from books, you can learn from classes, you can learn from podcasts, you can learn from YouTube. There are all kinds of places that you can be learning about that particular goal. And while you're in that learning process, you are likely going to come up with a ton of action ideas that you could apply towards that goal for yourself. I know when I take like an online course or I read any kind of learning book, not even just finance goals, like literally any type of goal, I come away with so many action steps that I want to take on that goal. So if you are struggling to come up with action idea steps for a goal, learn. Learn about that goal, whether it's book, professional, podcast, course, whatever it is. All right, that is it for this video. I hope that you found this helpful, especially if you're working on financial goals. If financial goals is something that you feel like you're struggling with and you need some additional accountability, maybe working together one-on-one with me. Again, I'm not a financial professional, but what I am gonna be able to do is help you implement those habits, working on your finances, help you figure out what the best system of tracking is for you, and then hold you accountable to doing that on a regular basis and getting it into a rhythm and a routine of checking in with your finances. So if that's something that you feel like you could use help with, I will leave all the information of working together one-on-one linked down below. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. So last month, it was not last month, what was the last one?